I think this is now my second time recording it this way. Not particularly happy with it, but I think this is how I'm going to do this for the rest of the, line of videos that this is going to be about. The reason I say that is because, well, I find it easier to just record what I want to say in front of this screen, mostly because I like having this screen with the big man himself right there. Just taking a look at that little submarine, real nice and juicy like. All right, anyway, let's get on track. So I mentioned a while ago in a previous video that I will be telling the recount of what I can remember of a previous Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I had gone through. So let me give you a bit of information about that. So, wow, a couple of years ago, almost 2 years ago, I suppose, there was a game we started after quite a few of us have become a bit more interested in Dungeons and Dragons again. One of our friends, our DM at the time, we're just gonna call him Toner, or Tanner, really, but he gave us pretty much. Well, no, he was inspired by a friend who was really wanting to play again, and he was already feeling the itch to play again. Not to mention the fact that he was already in 2 separate games at the time. So, I'm throwing rocks at a glass house at this point, but it doesn't matter. The point is, he took this as an opportunity to introduce quite a few friends who were brand new to Dungeons and Dragons to be part of the experience and get to see for themselves the hobby that we love and enjoy so much. That being said, this is the product of that. I'm not sure it's really this story that I'm pretty much going to make a bit of a series out of is based on my recounts of those game sessions that we had. So I'm probably going to miss out on a few details. I'm probably going to forget a few important stuff. I'll probably do my best to ask around to see if I can remember certain accounts. But regardless, I'm going to get into the story. So let me set it up for you guys. This game is based on is set in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, which I'm sure plenty of you by now must know about, as well as this takes place in the module of Out of the Abyss, or the Rage of Demons. I don't know which one it's the word for it, but I think you guys know. It's got the picture of the big Demogorgon at the front cover of it, so yeah, that one. But here's the thing. As you will undoubtedly figure out, it doesn't exactly stick to the module, because at a certain point in the story, you'll discover that we went very far off the module, to the point where it just became its own campaign, and that's kind of something that I loved about that we just turned it into our own story, as opposed to following what the book has told us to do. But, well, love or to hate it, I'm just going to tell you my story, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So, let's start off with breaking down the members of this party of people. This, as I called it, Reptile Mafia. So, our first member is actually, canonically speaking, the first person to get captured by the Drow. Yolanda. Oh, right. Before I continue on this story, the images that I'm going to put on the screen, I don't know where I'll be putting them. Probably somewhere around here. None of this is artwork that is owned by me. None of this is, none of this stuff is owned by me, or I made any of this. Please keep in mind what I'm showing you guys are literally just the tokens that we used to represent our character in the game, because we were using the Roll20 page. So please don't come after me. Like I'm no means trying to make, you know, money or whatever off of your stuff. If you find your art here, cool, that's awesome. You caught our attention, and we thought your stuff was so cool that it deserves to be a character. So yeah, good stuff. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I'm not trying to be an ass or a bad person. Anyway, let's talk about, like I said, the first character, Yolanda. Yolanda is a human ranger. I believe the subclass is Gloomstalker, the underdark-ish nighttime hunter. Her story is that she was part of a militia of rangers and fighters and whatnot from Red Larch. And unfortunately, at some point, she was ambushed by a raiding band of drow or some underdark forces, and was just captured and taken from her home, and was, you know, put into drow slavery. And now she, simple backstory, but basically she's just trying to get herself back home, and hopefully everything will be safe up in the surface and whatnot. So the next character is Aira. This little cat here. Yeah, this is a good kitty. Tabaxi Thief Rogue. Rogue Thief. Thiefin. She be thiefin. But her story is that a long time ago, her and her brother, I don't know if he was a twin brother or just brother, but basically they were doing the Indiana Jones, if you will, treasure hunting, finding lost relics and whatnot, when they were ambushed by a lot of ambushing happening by some evil cult. The way it was described, it seemed like it would probably be like the Cult of the Dragon, back when Tiamat was still kind of leading things, but canonically speaking, I don't think Tiamat was still in charge. But anyway, the point is, evil bad guys, masks, dragons. She got separated from her brother as he was taken and kidnapped by them, and she ultimately went on a bit of a journey to try to find him, and along the way she kind of got taken by the drow, and that's how she ends up here. Now, before I keep going, I probably should say spoilers ahead for Out of the Abyss, because if you've never played it, and if you want to play it, you should probably not even bother watching this video, or these sequence of videos. However, I will say things will not follow 100% on the campaign module itself. So, spoiler and a half alert warning. Sorry, guys. Anyway. Where was... Oh, right. So, she gets captured, and we move on to the next person. So, person is kind of a special person for reasons you might understand hold on in the future. So, one of my friends, she's playing a character named Zakira, who's right, this handsome, beautiful lady right here. Zakira is a dragonborn druid, actually. Yeah, very interesting combination. She is the Circle of the Moon, so she's shapeshifty. She turned into the animals and stuff. Her backstory, if I remember correctly, she was part of a kind of small clan of dragonborn who were a bit more on the primitive side, and they kind of lived a little further out in the wilds, but she herself was a bit too much on the wild side. Like, she kind of preferred to live a bit more among the animals rather than with other people, hence why she's kind of... Well, I'll get to that in a sec, but the point is, she's also kind of a cannibal. She will eat people, and at some point she was kind of exiled for her nasty ass behavior. And no, she's not an evil person per se, but she believes in the natural world more so, and all that crap. But at some point, she literally just took a nap under a tree and then woke up and was just enslaved by drow. And she's like, oh, well, this is my life, I guess. And like I said, because she prefers to live her life among and as the animals, let's just say animals don't wear clothes. Okay, this is in no way like me bashing on this character at all. There's no way me hating. Zakira is amazing. She's actually one of my favorite characters of this campaign. And this is in no way like a cringy freaking RPG horror story from good old Crit Crab. No, she's actually a really cool, well done character. So please no hating on the naked dragon part. Okay, and moving. One of my friends, he's playing a character named Venarian. This bronze dragon boy here, who is a sorcerer, a storm sorcerer, using the natural powers of his element of lightning to bring down the thunder. Now, let me back up a bit here. The DM that we have, that I still have for other games, he's pretty easygoing for some stuff, and he's kind of lenient about certain things. As long as you give him a good story, and this kind of works for me too, pretty much a good character that's solid, that makes sense, that we can work out, then you can probably have that character. Therefore, our boy Venarian here is not really dragonborn so much as he is dragon. He is a bronze dragon. Now, this may seem kind of cringy and weird for some of you people, and you may roll your eyes because dragon characters, these fucking people, and just play hold on. Let me tell you the story of Venarian. See, Venarian is a bit of a unique case because he isn't even from Faerun. He's not of the world of Toril. I believe that's the official word for where Faerun is. But in reality, he is from the world of, I believe, Galorian? I don't... He's from the Pathfinder setting, the official Pathfinder setting. And so he actually doesn't even look like this. He looks a bit more like this. So he's kind of a fish out of water. Fish, water. Anyway, so his story is that Venarian was actually an ancient bronze dragon who was a kind of... I don't know if he was really that devoted of a figure to Bahamut, but he definitely revered him a solid amount as the great parental common ancestor of the metallic dragons. And he was fighting to defend his home, this like city-state that he pretty much kind of lived in, against a massive uprise of demonic influence forces. A great rival of his, this pit fiend, who not pit fiend, sorry, Balor. Pit fiend's they're the other guys. Balor, who Trasukane, or as we will call him eventually, Trash Can, pretty much led his evil armies to murder the fuck out of him. And in that battle, at some point, they were separated. Some great magical rift that had happened in a grand explosion, or some evil experiment of the abyssal demons, caused things to warp and change, and suddenly they were no longer in the world that they once were, and they were both kind of separated and split apart. So this big bad Balor from one reality is technically out there, while our boy Venarian, unfortunately, through some... I don't think we ever really like knew where it came from. I don't really remember, but it was some kind of vile curse or change in realities that caused his body to basically de-age to that of a much, much younger version of himself. So, shit, like he's fucking 75-year-old man in the body of his, like, late 20 self's body. So, yeah, it's freaky. Basically, Venarian is our big thunder boy, Lightning. I think at some point he does multi-class into Paladin, which is pretty cool. So, yeah. Venarian is our shocky boy, and he's going to bring down the thunder. Is Senlith, a Dragonborn Paladin. Yeah, now you see where the Reptile Mafia comes in here. A lot of scales around going on here. So Senlith, I believe he's a white Dragonborn. Yes, I believe so. Who came from the same clan as Zakira, and he was not... Well, he doesn't entirely agree with what Zakira was doing. He would occasionally do what he could to kind of defend her and kind of keep her out of trouble, but there was only so much he could do to keep her out of trouble. And problems arose, and eventually Senlith ended up having to just leave to try to at least find Zakira or something, or redeem himself in some way. Unfortunately, due to, I believe, he was kind of going off the traditional story of where the Dragonborn came from in the 5th edition setting, of these dragon people that came from the split world controlled by the primordials as opposed to the gods. He houses in him the malevolent spirit of his father, this primordial dragon thing of evil, and kind of holds it at bay as much as he can. Not to really bag on him that much, but it's very Beast Within shonen kind of story animation. Regardless, he's there, and he helps as he can. He Paladin. Anyway, the next character, one of the most important, if not the most important character of the story, I would say. Sarcasm. Anyway, this character is our good old, lovely kobold fighter, Ned, son of Ed. So Ned, like I said, he's a kobold fighter. I can't remember off the top of my head right now what sub archetype that he went for, but it doesn't really matter because Ned is Ned. You see, Ned started off as this tiny little dumbass dragon boy who we find early on in a crate, kind of just hiding from the drow, and turns out and he's kind of just he's a standard kobold. They're kind of small, tiny, cowardly, not exactly book smart, but he can be kind of clever at times. But he was just this little dumbass, little spastic creature. And let's just say he goes from being this silly, cowardly little lizard to the instrument of death itself. Oh, it's gonna be fun recounting his shit. And of course, last but not least, the big boss, the head honcho of the crew of people, Matoru. This guy right here. Matoru is actually my character. He is a Tortle barbarian, a berserker barbarian to be exact. I believe he's technically the second person to get captured by the drow, if I remember correctly. But basically, Matoru was actually just a standard, regular sea pirate. He kind of grew up on Chult, as most turtles do. lived his life out on the sea, being a sailor. And eventually, he just became kind of more of a private pirate, privateer, whatever you want to call it, basically. And he would go around, you know, sailing, raiding, having his own adventures and whatnot. Pretty much enjoying and living the life out on the open sea until one deal that he made somewhere on the Dragon Coast or the Sword Coast, whatever. Deal went really far south, and he somehow got taken and captured by some people who traded them over to the Drow, and there he ended up being, you know, that's pretty much where this being. If you haven't noticed, being captured by the Drow is kind of the setting, the starting point of this game. Oh no, we've been in prison. Just fucking, what is it, Skyrim? Anyway, the point is, he's my character, and he is the, he somehow becomes kind of the leader of this group. Somehow, he has, his stats are atrocious. Like, look at this. 10, 11, and he's just nothing. He's and somehow they all followed this guy into battle. Alright, well, now that I've introduced the characters of our story, you may be wondering, well, there's more people though. You have all these extra guys. Okay, well, I'm gonna talk about just a little bit some of these characters, because, well, a couple of these characters. The reason why is because quite a few of these characters are actually more NPCs than player characters, but they will become favored and lovable companions that people have fond memories of. But first, let me just go over, I will go over this one right here, Trilaxian. Trilaxian is a copper dragon bardo who will show up much later in our story, but regardless, this is pretty much more or less the beginnings of one of our friends who had joined us, and she made this character. And Trilaxian is pretty much our happy, fun, silly bard who pretty much cracked a lot of jokes and wrote songs and did bard stuff, as bards do. But I'll talk a bit more about him in the future. But just know that he is definitely a valued member of this team, even though we won't talk about him a lot in the next coming videos. But everything else I think would be too much of a spoiler as far as some of the other characters. But regardless, this is the intro. This is our beginning, and I will tell the rest of the story at some point in the future, and hopefully I can record it all with no interruptions, and in at least a more cohesive thing rather than just me ranting on and talking to myself in a room. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Hope you all have a wonderful evening, day, wherever you are in the world. And alright, I guess I'll see you guys next time.